Welcome back to another reaction video, and this one is going to be very, very special for a number of reasons. First of all, Sleep Token have new music. It's been a long while. The wait is over.
Yep.
And if that wasn't enough, I've invited my far lovelier other half, my wife, Mrs. Carneson, the very special bee, to join us. And if you're wondering why, and you're probably wondering why too. This band and I have history. We go way back. In fact, back to when I first met you. And recording these reactions and sharing them with you and with all of you have been some of the most wonderful, amazing moments, not just in my little YouTube career, but in my life. And I can't think of anything better than sharing something you love so deeply with the person you love more than anything in this world.
Thank you.
So, one other thing before I get into this, I've purposefully stayed away from as much of the build-up as possible. I get stuff sent to me all the time, and it's normally just people who are super excited. But I wanted to have a first listen experience as close as I can get. So if I miss any subtle cues, bear with. I'll catch on. You ready for this one?
I think so.
Sleep Token, Emergence.
Let's see what you got.
Well, you were late in verse, living on a promised word. Well, I am the rose you relinquished again. You and I are down head first in another world I had. I have a feeling we're close to the end. Are you carbide on my nano, red glass on my light bulb, dark light on my culture, sapphire in my white gold, burst out on my chest and hide out in the vents. My blood beats so alive, my bite right through your lens. It's midnight in my mind's eye, drowning out the daylight. Godspeed to my enemies, to be asking for that call sign. You know the behavior, canines of the savior. Glory to the legion, trauma for the neighbor.
Whew. Now, see how hard it is trying to stop the song while it's going midway?
It sucks.
It's not.
It's so frustrating, but it's necessary.
100% necessary. Now, if you haven't heard this song, probably a bit late for saying it, but I highly encourage you, go and listen to it before you come back and hear me yapping about it. And one other reason I wanted you here is because not only is she an absolute certified 10 and far nicer to look at than I am, she's a very, very good singer. And I'm the opposite of that. I'm horrible with anything vocal. So hopefully you can help educate me. One thing this band does better than anyone, and I've brought this up in many, many previous reactions, and I've spoken about this melodic through line that sits right up front and drags itself through the song. It fades in and out of the mix depending on where they place it. But I think when I refer to that as foreshadowing for the greatness that's to come, I think I got it a bit wrong. I'd like to rephrase. I think the greatness of it is right up front. It's everything you could ever want in its most refined form. It's this anchor that roots you in a song and makes you feel comfortable. Comfortable enough to trust and be vulnerable and drift into other parts of the song that are more offbeat, more syncopated, more uncomfortable. But the anchor is never too far away. It's always within reach. That melody is always there as your comfort. And I would be kicking myself if I didn't say thank you for being my melody and my anchor. See, this band and you came along at a time where things weren't going very well for me. A lot of sickness, a lot of death. And this band, along with you, taught your husband how to feel again.
Okay, I was already going to be emotional with the song. And you, of course, everybody on here knows you have words and you know how to use them.
When they matter, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You use your power for good, for sure.
What do you think so far? Because I have all the thoughts in the world and I'll get to share them, but we've heard not a second of this until this moment. Mm-hmm. And there's been so much anticipation and guesswork around what they'll do musically, what they'll do physically, what they'll do with their performance, their identity. What are your first takes of 2 minutes?
It's interesting to me because I have to shout some personal street cred. I actually knew about this band before you ever reacted to them. And from what I can remember, you were one of the first, if not, well, the first that I heard react to them. So I whenever they come out with new stuff, I always kind of compare in the best way to their previous stuff and how just like any good band, they've evolved. And I really like how they've really clung to that kind of hip hop aspect that was especially present in their last album, mm-hmm. and kind of sprinkled in their others. But I think this is the perfect fusion of that and what they've always been, that consistent Sleep Token sound. I sound a bit wanky, and now I understand how hard it is to talk about this stuff.
It's all part of the reaction sphere. Sometimes I'll edit my videos and go, huh? No, you're absolutely right. I was going to mention that not only is it that breakbeat, uncomfortable, can't find really where the snare or the kick's going to sit, but that hip hop piece is really nice. And it's this musical equivalent of them saying to the fans, just trust us. Because they've scattered in little moments of influence with certain things. And this is only one song, but it's the bravery of a band is not just in the risks they take, it's the ones they avoid. And I think that there's something massive to be said about that. Now, we have a long way to go, Missy. You ready?
Yeah.
Also, if you want a really pretty wife, just start a YouTube channel.
God, space dust for your few rides. Dark days for your solstice, dancing through the depths of hellfire on the winds that started from within. My blood beats so alive, might tear right through my skin. So tell me what you meant by living past your half-life and lockstep with the universe and your well-past in the afterlife. You know that I'm sanctified by what's below. No matter what you do, no matter where you go. Take away the pain and let my mind go.
to give you a second. I know that this isn't a very comfortable thing for you to do, and I'm very grateful that you're doing it. This will be this will be something I'll never forget. I'll give you a minute while I yap on.
Okay.
Sleep Token are effectively what happens when you have a band of extraordinarily talented musicians who have honed their craft through multiple different influences growing up, who have tested and tried their songwriting, their process, their technology, their effects pedals, their time in studio, their chemistry. And they've gotten so comfortable with what they want to do that they pay no regard to the rules of genre, structure. Now, there's a very big difference between purposefully disruptive and creatively disruptive, and that's what they're doing here. It's not to say that it's a million different time signatures played at a million miles a minute. It's in their approach to songwriting and in their approach to how they structure every layered piece within the song. And if you show me someone who can put them in a box and define them specifically by genre, I will show you a liar. It's everything that I wanted it to be, and it's fully attached to everything I love from them.
Yeah. And one thing that is really hitting me, I am a vocalist, so I always cling to the melodies, but in particular, I do cling to the lyrics. I'm not catching all of them because it's a first time listen, so it's tough.
Nah, you've heard it before.
I literally had no time to hear it before. But I know that lyrics aren't your first thing that you go to. You don't. It takes special lyrics for you to get into them. And especially when you do this, you're more music first. But these lyrics are hitting me. And when people say, particularly with Sleep Token songs, this one is speaking to me, this one's personal, this gets me through, or this validates me, or whatever the thing is, I'm not exaggerating. This is so beautifully timed, and it's easy for me to kind of do like a personal reflection on these things. Now I realize that that also sounds very, very wanky. However, it's true. And I don't necessarily get super deep on a lot of lyrics and music. But Sleep Token is just one of those bands that makes me do that. And it's equally beautiful and so uncomfortable to be that vulnerable.
You have a very, very good point around feeling like songs are personalized for you. And so many people in Sleep Token do. And it's not that they know their audience well. Don't get it mixed up. It's that they know people well. It's irrelevant what art form you push that delivery into. But just being fully comfortable to be vulnerable, to write vulnerably, to explore new ways of doing that. There is a technical side of this, which I don't like going into too much because it almost tries to explain the emotional side. But hear me out on this. There is something about the production of the audio that is, for me, the perfect balance of compression. It's tight enough to feel like there is no space on the canvas for more audio, more color. But the way that they link their phrasing feels like there's these gaps of not silence, but these purposeful synth pieces and this floaty etherealness that sits much further back in the mix. And that's that melodic through line that kind of is seemingly free to drift throughout the entire song and find its place and find its volume when appropriate. Now, where do you think this is going? Because this is typically the part of a song where you get a
breakdown.
Yeah. You should just do this. It's a bridge, typically into a breakdown, but you have a song that is fairly rapid in its placement. So you have two options here. or you technically have 3. You can go real soft and bring it down, so you can punch back harder in the chorus. You can just go really heavy so that when you go to the chorus, the melody is further emphasized, or you can do a bit of both. And I'm going to make you pick.
I'm going to say nothing because I can't. And the reason is because I think if you've been listening to them long enough, you know that they're going to probably throw in something pretty random. They've already kind of done it a little bit with a little sprinkling of like techno vibes in the beginning, but I feel like this being their first single that they're releasing, there's gonna be some curveball, and it may just be simply something standard that hits you hard, or they're gonna throw in some, I don't know, they're gonna break out the harpsichord, or, you know, like some random instrument to just kind of keep you on your toes.
Huh. Who you been watching? Whose videos have you been watching? Where are you getting this information from? I was going to say exactly that, and now I don't have to, so thank you. They will do something that is reminiscent of some of the risks they took prior, and it's going to not be traditional. I don't know how uncommon it'll be. You might get a heavier section, but I'm telling you that there's going to be a part of this that sits in a much more loungy, just very different to how the song has been played out so far. I'm sure of it. And I know, and if they do that, they are showing us their intent with this album right up front in song 1. And you can do nothing but respect them for that, if it happens.
Yeah.
Dude.
Okay.
Dude. Now, I almost want to go back and pause the freeze frame because I'm like, what's happening here? But I don't want to because they will tell their story in the way they want us to hear it. Now, well done, by the way. How's that feel?
You know, it's so good and validating, and I'm really proud of myself. But you said before, you started talking about some like loungy vibes, and immediately my head went to the saxophone.
I want to kick myself a little because
say it.
I shouldn't have said lounge. That's what I thought it would be. It wasn't quite loungy. It was more like jazzy, yes. which really is different. So as much as I can say, still got it, it's a little bit off. But we stepped into what is possibly the sexiest elevator of all time. and I immediately want to just have all the children with you.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's a different video.
that's never going to exist.
Well, we'll see. So, okay, 1 million subscriber mark. You never know. No, that we joke, but first of all, to anybody who was hoping that this would be a very technical analysis, I think I'm proud of what's in there. I'm always reflective of speaking about this band, especially this band, because they give so much to me that I want to reflect the same in any content I make around them. So, but it is equally as important to, as a content creator in any regard, to just have moments that you can go, there was before this and there was after this, and this is that because of you.
You're very kind, and I'll add to that to say you are more emotional than people would think, or you give yourself credit for. What does your brother always say?
Deep as a puddle.
That's not true. But for me, someone like me who is perhaps overly emotional, I feel things, I feel them deeply. I have all of the feelings, and especially with music, it hits me, it affects me in that way. For a lot of people, it doesn't. But I can tell you that for a band like this, it's a lot easier to cling to the emotional aspect of it, even if you don't realize you're doing it, just because of how brilliant they are with their song composition. They understand melodies. They understand when to hit you with the things and when to just be quiet. Because you taught us that something along the lines of they will show you the size of the room that you're in.
Yeah. I was like, what did I say?
I don't remember fully, but it was really cool.
They advertise the size of the room they're about to walk into from a space point of view. Yeah. And the band, I think you would probably be very surprised if you spoke to them about what their individual influences are. And I think that's an incredibly good thing. You see it in moments, and then there is understanding the collective good for the band, which is a separate thing. When I see you emotional, I tighten up because it's this instinctual thing of like, I have to now protect. I gotta be ready. So, but it's a beautiful thing to see, because the reason people are so defensive over this band, and the reason that Sleep Token fans get given a certain reflection with their passion for them, their obsession for them, is because this band makes you, it forces you, it demands that you feel it. So when you do, you feel like you've gone to war emotionally with them, and so you feel like you have to defend them if anyone says anything. And that's both good and bad, because one, it's good because you're standing up for the thing that's very special to you. It's not so good sometimes when that thought process is close you off to constructive criticism or just general opinions, and it becomes a nasty environment. And that's far more rare. I think we're all adults and we understand the place of music in our lives and then in others. And I'm just grateful to be doing this, because the likelihood of me doing this kind of thing at a time when they're doing what they're doing is quite specific, as if it was meant.
Yeah, they literally talked to God or the universe or whatever, and they made a deal.
I'm sure I was a footnote in that one, but yeah, love it. And if you want to know what do I want next from them, whatever the hell they want to do, because if you trust the band fully and you love what they're doing as an approach, it doesn't really matter the individual songs. There's a collective story to be told, and I want to know how this builds that live environment where they put together what is effectively a legacy set, where you can go and watch something that feels very intertwined and story driven, but is effectively a best of collective hits.
I don't even know how you would choose.
I thank God I don't have to. Thank God I don't have to. That's up to them. This has been fun. We should do this more often.
Yeah. Maybe.
Now I got to go edit the thing and do the thumbnail and do the whole thing. But hope you enjoyed and hope there's lots more to come. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear your comments. B will be in the comments also, chatting, responding. And grateful as always for your time and your energy. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
What else do we say at the end?
And have a damn good day.
Ah, so insulting.